This is the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast. Here's Rick Ucchino and SP3 on the Bleav Podcast Network.
I'm a terrible human being. I knew I was going to forget to do something, and I forgot to put together your open. I am so incredibly sorry. Jeremy Bennett here.
We'll get there eventually.
Wednesday. I swear, I'm going to put it in my phone right now. A reminder to cut that open. I have all the pieces. I just have to do a simple. It'll take me 5 minutes. I could probably do it while you're doing your opening monologue here, and then
take time. Take two.
Jesus, my goodness. Just a busy week. Busy week. It is not SP3 here on a Wednesday. It is Jeremy Bennett taking his normal spot here on Wednesday, recapping NXT and all of the big news, including the saga of Roman Reigns. Is he staying? Is he going? Is he going to pull a veer? Is he coming? Is he going? What the hell is happening here with Roman Reigns? Apparently, he's going to be working some less dates this summer. Don't panic. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Remember, don't panic there, folks. But the fact that people are panicking should be a wake-up call to WWE. We will get into that. Also, some things that are very, very confusing. Two major reports coming out yesterday that make no sense whatsoever, Jeremy. We're going to dive into both of those. One is the fact that they are actually going to be moving forward with a tag team title unification match, but not unifying the tag titles. Okay, that makes sense. Secondly, we have gotten 5 weeks now of Lacey Evans vignettes on SmackDown. Appeared to set her up for a big swerve that she's actually a heel, which I kind of bought into. Like, I actually bought into that. By the time they rolled around with like her fourth and fifth vignette, I'm like, okay, they're trolling us. They want us to hate her. So the heel part, I get. I'm not focusing on that. What I'm focusing is now all of a sudden she's a Raw superstar, according to reports. That does not make a ton of sense. We will dive into that as well. Got a little bit of some Raw leftovers I want to get into that SP3 and I didn't have time to get in on yesterday's show. And then, yes, it was ladies' night on NXT. Gotta love that. Look, as a huge advocate for women's wrestling, Jeremy, I can't be more happy with what I've seen on Monday Night Raw, what I saw on NXT last night. It is just a smorgasbord. It's like WWE has all of a sudden decided to focus on the ladies across the board, maybe with the exception of what's going on SmackDown. We'll see how Friday shakes out, but it's been women's heavy wrestling this week, and I'm all for it, man.
Yeah, and plus it was a pretty good episode of NXT 2.0 as well. Some good matches all throughout all across the board. I mean, outside of the tournament matches were kind of the expected squashes, but there were some good matches there, especially the main event was pretty good as well. Some funny stuff with Chase U finding Saray's magical powers. I thought that was kind of funny. Overall, a pretty enjoyable NXT tonight.
Chase may have had the line of the night where he's like, looks stunned, like, we have a foreign language program. That whole backstage exchange with Saray was pretty dang.
Yeah, that was funny how Bodhi just busted out. Yeah, I knew what she was saying. Shit.
I take it, Japanese 2.0 or whatever the heck it was that he said. But yeah, it was 2.0 was a nice touch there as well. But overall, yeah, some enjoyable things last night. Again, a lot of women's wrestling heavy. I would have maybe possibly preferred a tag team title switch because I feel like they're feeding Roxanne Perez now too many losses here at the start of her young career in NXT. You are talking about a former Ring of Honor women's champion at this point. She's already well accomplished. It's not like she's that inexperienced. Maybe it might be time here sooner rather than later for Toxic Attraction to kind of like move on a little bit, because if there's one thing that we saw on NXT last night, look, the future's there, man. They may not be ready right now, but the future's there. You got a deep bench. Toxic Attraction could be better used elsewhere. We'll get into all of that here on today's episode. But first things first, got to thank our friends over at Bet Online. We would not be here without them. Shut up, computer updates. They continue to be the #1 source for all of your sports betting needs and information. Find all the latest developments, including updated odds on the NBA and NHL playoffs, Major League Baseball fights, and even next season's NFL futures. Bet Online, your continued source for all of your sports wagering needs, including live betting, your favorite Vegas, casino, and poker games. Super easy to get started. Head on over to the website today or use your mobile device. Sign up and join. Use our promo code Bleav. That is BLEAV. Yeah, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. And by the way, before we dive into everything, just a quick reminder, guys. Time is running out. We got 3 weeks left for you guys to get registered to win 2 tickets. I said 2 tickets to Money in the Bank in Las Vegas, July 2nd. Hop on this right here. It's real simple. Go to my pinned tweet at Rick Ucchino. Retweet that pinned tweet and then subscribe to the Bleav in Pro Wrestling YouTube channel. You're here watching anyway. Pound the subscribe button. Also, pound that thumbs up button. It really helps grow our audience, and we do appreciate that. But you got to retweet the tweet to register. So if you're already subscribed to the channel, just go to my Twitter page and hit retweet. It's it. You're done. You're in.
Throw in a comment or two, too. That helps as well.
Yeah, that helps as well. We appreciate you guys joining us, as always, here on the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast channel. So, Jeremy, as he always is, Roman Reigns has been in the headlines, whether he's wrestling or whether he's not wrestling, and he hasn't been doing a whole lot of that on television as of late. In fact, we still don't even know who his next challenger for the WWE Universal Championship is going to be, even though WWE does have a myriad of options in front of them right now. It appears they're narrowing in on a couple of people, but latest reports have everybody looking toward the summer, past Hell in a Cell, past Money in the Bank, right around that SummerSlam. What's the UK pay-per-view called again? The
Clash of the Castle
in Cardiff, Wales, right? Big, huge pay-per-view. All of a sudden, reports are coming out, and they're varying reports, right? That like he's going to be taking time off. He's been pulled from all the live events. He's been pulled from all the advertising. He might be filming a movie or this, that, and the other thing. That was speculation. Then all of a sudden you have guys like Fightful and the Matman podcast with Andrew Zarian saying, hey, look, here's what's actually kind of going on, at least what they have been told directly from WWE. So here is the latest breakdown. Our lead story today, Roman Reigns is still set for television and premium live events this summer. He has just simply been pulled from like live events, house shows, things of that nature. He has signed a new deal. He's not going away. I know everybody got all in a tizzy when he cut that promo in Trenton, New Jersey, saying
he's all elite.
He don't know if he's, oh my God, did you see that? Like, what is that, Wrestling Bananas or whatever the hell Twitter account that was, who tweeted out that somebody tweeted out, man, like, I think it was like Wrestling Bananas or something like that. They tweeted out that a fake Wrestling Observer quote that wrote that AEW was expected to sign Roman Reigns within the next few months to like a $10 million guaranteed deal. And people actually ran with that.
Oh,
guys,
boy.
Check the sources before you just run off with that kind of stuff, because that's absolutely ridiculous. There's no way the WWE would let Roman Reigns get away to another company. He was going to go to Hollywood one day soon, but not tomorrow. He has signed a new deal. That is part of the report, but he's going to be working less dates. So that's the big thing here. He's going to be working less dates. That's why he said sayonara to Trenton, New Jersey, because they don't go to Raw, SmackDown. They don't get the pay-per-views in Trenton, New Jersey.
Yeah.
So he don't know if he's going to be doing house shows, if and when he's ever going to be back in Trenton, New Jersey in front of the crowd there. So that's why he was saying goodbye. That's why he's being pulled from local advertisements and things like that. It's because, look, he's a smart guy. He's getting a little long in the tooth as far as his full-time wrestling career is going on here. He's been at it for what, 10 years now at this point? I mean, he's going. He's got aspirations for later. He's been going pedal to the metal, especially for the last 2 years. Now is the WWE and Universal Champion. So he knows that, you know, his time as a full-time competitor is going to be winding down here over the next few years. He wants to save his bump card. Totally get it. Totally understandable. But Jeremy, I think the bigger issue here is the fact that people start hearing that Roman Reigns is going to be working less dates, or he's going to be taking time off, or he might be leaving soon. And the panic sets in. Like end of the world level panic on the IWC going, well, what are they going to do? Who's going to win the title off of Reigns? What's going to happen? Are they just going to leave? Are they going to have both the titles be off television with Roman Reigns for a while? Like, cause nobody's ready. Oh my God, what are we going to do? If that ain't a wake-up call to WWE to say, hey, maybe we should start booking some people to the level of Roman Reigns, or at least build up some credible challengers to Roman Reigns. Like, you have some options for his next opponents, but do we actually think any of them are going to win and take the title off of him? Because I don't. I think your three biggest options right now are Orton, McIntyre, and Shinsuke Nakamura. Do we think either one of those guys is going to be the guy to take the belt off of Reigns? Because I don't.
I wouldn't be surprised if Drew's the one that takes the title off of him. They're building him back up, and they've built him back up since he's lost the world title. It's been about 2 years now, I think, since he's held that title. And, as time went on.
It'll be 2 years at SummerSlam. First, like the week after SummerSlam, because he wanted it payback, because they did that weird thing where they had a pay-per-view, and then a week later they had another pay-per-view. So Bray Wyatt won the Universal Championship, and then Roman showed up, and then a week later he beat him and Strowman in the main event. So it's coming up on 2 years is with the title now.
Yeah, and I didn't expect Reigns to be, I didn't expect Drew to be the guy to end Reigns' streak, which is now coming up on it'll be 3 years in October that he's yet to be pinned in singles competition. But
December. It's getting there.
The more and more as time goes on, I feel that I thought it was October when Corbin beat him.
No, it was TLC. TLC.
Oh, okay.
It was December in TLC of 2019, which, by the way, that was the last time that there wasn't a WWE or Universal title match on a pay-per-view until this past weekend at WrestleMania Backlash. So there you go. That's the only reason why that's fresh in my mind, is because, we got.
And I wonder if Drew takes it off of him at Hell in a Cell, and then we get Drew and Tyson Fury in Wales at Clash at the Castle. Because I think they're starting to build Drew up again. I don't know if there's a reason why they started pulling the trigger so soon and then changed the plans at WrestleMania Backlash. And I think it's to set up Hell in a Cell next month.
Drew makes a ton of sense from the fact that he is probably going to be heavily featured at the two big shows this summer. One being SummerSlam in Nashville, which is his home away from home. He lives in Nashville. So he's the hometown kid there. So he's going to have a big match, whether it's for the Universal Championship or not. He's going to be heavily featured on that card. He still is the top babyface on SmackDown right now. And then a month later, you have that big UK show in Wales. So he may win the title there. He may go in as the champion, or he could simply be going up against Tyson Fury and not be involved in the championship whatsoever. They have options that they can do for Drew, but he does seem like the most likely person, considering the timing and the location of these two major shows, these huge stadium shows that they have going on later on, both in, so that would be the end of July, and then like early September is when both of those shows are. So maybe you could have Drew win it at SummerSlam, and then maybe Reigns wins it back in the UK. I don't know if WWE would do that kind of a move, but to end Roman Reigns' streak at 2 years just to put the belt back on him, I don't know if they would do that. I still think the long game is Cody Rhodes, but I don't know if they're gonna do it that quickly.
The only way he can do it is by winning Money in the Bank, because he's on Raw right now, which has no world champion. Of course, the rumors are they are still thinking about creating a brand new world championship, which makes absolutely no sense to me.
No sense whatsoever.
Because you obviously
that's the theme of the show, is trying to make the sense of the senseless here, because our top three stories here today make no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, you have you already have obviously the decades of lineage of the WWE Championship, and then you've got the Universal title, which you've finally, you've built your own new title in the past 10 years. Though it's not 10 years old, but let's just say the past 10 years, you introduced yourself a world title. Now it has some lineage, and now what are you doing? You're combining it, and for what reason? Who knows? So we don't know where that's going. So the only way that the only ticket for Cody is probably Money in the Bank, unless WWE just ignores the brand split. With Reigns having both titles, and because he had been showing up on both shows for a while leading up to WrestleMania. But that is Cody. Otherwise, that's Cody's only ticket, is to win Money in the Bank. Now, of course, it's conspicuous that he's doing all the promo stuff for that show. You know, so
and weird wording talking about a chance to main event WrestleMania in those promos, and that has a lot of people confused, because it's like, yeah, I guess you could, if you cashed in Money in the Bank and then held on to the championship all the way up until WrestleMania, which may in fact be how that goes.
Or you win the title and you still have it at WrestleMania. Maybe that's what they were going with. I don't know.
But again, just very weird wording. But you know, obviously they're I don't think anything major is happening at Hell in a Cell. I just don't. You want to know why? Because they're promoting the hell, pun intended, out of Money in the Bank before Hell in a Cell even shows up. Right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
They're not even talking about Hell in a Cell right now. So that's going to be another one of these. Well, it's one of these premium live events, but we're going to push everything off until we get to a bigger premium. If it ain't in a stadium, nothing of importance is probably happening at that.
Yeah, and that's the thing right now. You don't have a title feud set up outside of maybe Drew McIntyre. Right now, your Hell in a Cell match is probably going to be Cody and Seth, and then you're going to have a women's match somewhere in there. I don't know if it's going to be Ronda and Charlotte. You know, I don't know how long Charlotte's taken off. A lot of rumors surrounding the fact that she's the injury is for the wedding, which, you know, we don't know for sure.
So she ain't gonna be around for probably this. So Ronda's got to start something soon.
So do you really have a women's feud that you can put in a cell? You don't really. So
you do actually. You do. Okay. And this
live in Rhea.
And Rhea. And this is something that SB3 and I talked about on yesterday's show. Give me a 6-person mixed tag inside Hell in a Cell.
Inside Cell, that'd be good. Yeah, because that's your other.
Give me the Judgment Day versus the 2 Bullet Club leaders and Liv Morgan.
Because that's your other option for Hell in a Cell is that whole feud, which has been really after Monday night, I think has been coming along real nice with the fact that they didn't turn Finn heel. The crowd loves it because they love those two guys.
They haven't turned him yet. He can still be manipulated. I still think it's coming, but not pulling the trigger after a week, that does give some time for this to kind of breathe here a little bit.
They did progress the feud nicely on Monday, so I think that would be a good thing to do, is in something WWE has never done, a 6-person intergender Hell in a Cell match. I think
please give me things I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Right? Like that you have now set up a faction where you actually have a woman involved with it, which is something that they have not been willing to do a whole lot in WWE. So, okay, don't have Rhea Ripley sitting on the sidelines. You already did the one-on-one match with Ripley and Liv Morgan. You've already done that. Don't book that 3 more times. Don't need to see it. But if you want to set up something with Hell in a Cell between the Judgment Day, Finn Balor, Finn Balor, AJ Styles, and Liv Morgan, and just let me see a more barbaric side of Liv Morgan inside Hell in a Cell, I'd be all for it. I would be all for it. Liv Morgan always shows up in those kind of matches, and, just keep her in the spotlight, because that was the biggest concern I had with Rhea Ripley joining the Judgment Day, is what would happen with Liv Morgan. I knew she was going to get her ass kicked on Raw. That was inevitable. She was going to get her ass whooped.
And Finn and AJ really didn't help her.
No, they Jeff Hardy'd the hell out of that thing, as they just decided to strut down to the ring, do their 2 sweet boink, and then,
And we didn't even see Liv the rest of the night, so.
Yeah, and obviously, because she was selling her ass off. But so they have some options that they could do there for Hell in a Cell, but I would not be surprised if Roman Reigns' next opponent is Shinsuke Nakamura. Because he came out on SmackDown this past Saturday and said, hey, I ain't done with you. I want my shot. Yada shibba blah, blah.
Sammy told on him.
Yeah, and Sammy told on. So it seems really, really weird that they would start something with Nakamura, then not address it for 3 weeks, start something with Drew, only to bring up Nakamura again without addressing Nakamura again. Because once he starts with Drew, that's going for several months. I really believe that. So if you're not going to do anything major at Hell in a Cell, and that's just me speculating here, because again, they ain't promoting it. I'm going with what my eyes tell me, and they are already looking ahead to Money in the Bank, because
they promoted
Stadium in Vegas.
They promoted both shows like almost literally right after like literally minutes after they promoted Hell in a Cell, they turned around and promoted Money in the Bank at WrestleMania Backlash. You know, and my initial thought was that they were going to do Drew and Roman, and the title would change at Hell in a Cell, only because they started that feud so prematurely with making this a 6-man tag. So
yeah, and I think here's the other thing that happens. If you do Roman and Nakamura, right? Because we talked about 3 options. The most 3 likely options right now are Orton, Nakamura, and McIntyre. If you want to say McIntyre, for SummerSlam and Cardiff, right? The UK show, you want to save him for those 2 stadium shows, you could get Nakamura out of the way, and that opens up some time for RK Bro to drop the Raw Tag Team Championships, and then Orton and Reigns could do their thing maybe at Hell in a Cell, and that could be kind of their option, and then you get into Drew McIntyre. Because, again, I still think the long-term story there is Cody, but first things first there, Jeremy, they got to drop the Raw Tag Team titles, and maybe they're going to do that. But then again,
well, as long as they don't turn Orton, I'll be fine with that. But I definitely like the prospect.
Together, just because they dropped the belts, But
Orton's already came out that Orton's vetoed the split many times already. So I think he still has that power. Man, and Orton's has not been any hotter almost in his career as he is right now. So I would not hate him going at Reigns at all.
Yeah, no, at all. But first things first is they got to drop the belts, and that might happen. But it might not happen.
Don't have to. You don't have to.
It's time to answer the 5 count on the Bleav Podcast Network.
I do say they have to. Because I don't want, and this is what happens like every time that like they do this with a tag team. I don't want championships to have to fall to the wayside. I don't want Riddle to just have to be relegated to, oh, I'm here for Randy as he takes down Roman Reigns. I don't want Riddle to be relegated to that. All right. Like, I want these guys, if you're going to have RK Bro still be a thing and be tag team champions, that's great. Keep them in the tag team division. If Orton's an option, let's put the tag team titles on somebody else so the tag team division can still thrive and still get its time. And then let Orton focus on something else, unless you're going to make Orton a double champion, which I don't think they're going to do. But regardless, according to
as on fire as he's been, I wouldn't put it past him as fire as he's been this year.
I never will bet against WWE putting a championship on Charlotte or Randy Orton, and I still think Randy Orton's going to get to 17 one day, especially if he continues to wrestle until he's.
I don't know if they never did it with Cena. If they never did it with Cena, I don't think they're doing it.
I think Randy's the kind of guy that they would do it with, but it doesn't matter because Charlotte might get to freaking 20 at this point. So she's
definitely going to match Daddy. There's a guarantee right there.
Absolute 100% slam dunk guarantee that is going to happen. But regardless, still talking about RK Bro here, and everybody was kind of excited about this tag team title unification match that was supposed to happen at WrestleMania Backlash before the rug got pulled out from under it. And now Dave Meltzer, Wrestling Observer, is reporting that they're going to go back to that match now. They are actually going to have the title unification match. But here's the rub. They have no plans to unify the tag team titles. None whatsoever. So they're going to go through with the tag team title unification match, but they're not going to bother to unify the tag titles, which means shenanigans, BS, DQ finish, some kind of bullcrap coming up at the end here. Jeremy, number 1 on the 5 count here. If you're not going to go through with unifying the tag team championships, why are you going through with the match? This seems so bass-ackwards to me. Like, why not? If you didn't have any plans of unifying the tag team titles, you spent weeks building up this match only to pull the rug out from under it to add Roman and Drew to it. Why are you then going back to it to have another DQ finish? Why didn't you just do this match at WrestleMania Backlash? Roman and Drew could have gotten involved, causing the disqualification to set up the 6-man tag at Hell in a Cell.
Well, maybe
this is flying by the seat of your pants at its finest. This is a make good. This is, oh, damn, the crowd wanted to see this match. Well, let's give them this match, even though we don't have plans to unify the titles. That's what this screams to me.
Yeah, and it makes absolutely no sense because everybody thought it also was going to be like the main event of the show because there was no Roman originally on the show. But if you get maybe they don't think Cody and Rollins is a Hell in a Cell worthy matchup, and maybe they're putting these, and maybe they put these two tag teams in it. I don't know.
Okay, so now here's the other problem. So now all of a sudden you're going to have a tag team title unification match that's not going to end in a tag team title unification inside Hell in a Cell. You remember the last time they did a DQ no contest finish inside Hell in a Cell? There was almost a riot.
But if it's not for the title, does it matter? You don't have to have a DQ if it's not for the title. Hell,
but that's what Meltzer says is they're doing the match, but they're not unifying the belts.
Yeah.
Unless somebody's winning to become a double champion, somebody doesn't know the definition of unification backstage because there's no title. Don't know if Roman is one champion or not. If you look on WWE.com, he's still listed as both the WWE and Universal Champion. He's listed as a double champion, not a unified champion.
And Vince doesn't even know what he's doing right now. He probably won't know until the week of. It's just like Raw when he changes it at 10 minutes till.
Day of. This has been flying by the seat of their pants ever since Reigns got COVID at day one. Yeah. And they have just been trying to decide what the hell they want to do ever since they took the WWE title off of Big E.
Yeah, it's such a mess that I don't even know what to do. I mean, I didn't even consider it to be a Hell in a Cell match until now. Literally right now.
No, they can't. If they're going to have a title unification match that's going to have a non-finish, it can't be inside Hell in a Cell. It just can't. And again, this is what Meltzer's reporting and what he's heard.
Meltzer's saying that Meltzer's saying that it's not even going to be for the titles. So it's like,
no, he said they're going through with the unification match, but not unifying the belts, which he speculated meant a DQ finish.
Or there's a winner and they hold they each hold 2 belts and then go to both shows, which they've yet to do with Roman yet, because they don't. Again, Vince has no idea what he's doing with the world title right now. He doesn't know if he wants to split them back up or create a new title or what, and hence we didn't get a title match on Sunday, and we are still waiting to see if there will be one at Hell in a Cell.
Just strap in, folks, because this plans, they are a-changing constantly. At least that's my belief. Because look, and this is something that, Meltzer even alluded to, right? Like he said, look, this was always the plan all along to do that 6-man tag at WrestleMania Backlash. That's what a source told him. I'm sorry, I see better than I hear. And judging by what I've seen creatively, none of this stuff lines up or makes any kind of sense if this was the plan all along. I would love to see your Tony Khan notebook, right, of booking plans for weeks out. I would love to see that. Please.
There's no such thing as that, by the way. Not in WWE.
Yeah, exactly. You want more proof of that? For 5 weeks, Jeremy. 5 weeks. We got Lacey Evans vignettes on SmackDown. First couple, I was all on board. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. They're doing something different with her. They're doing something honest with her. They're letting Lacey kind of showcase who she is, where she's come from, told her story, get the crowd behind her a little bit. This is going to be a really great babyface turn for her. And this is a character that I think some people out there could relate to, right? And then they just kept going with it. And they just kept going with it. Kept going with it. There's a rule of threes, Jeremy. All right. At 3, you stop because less is more. 3 is perfect. When you start doing a 4th promo and going, okay, here it goes, it's like, all right, let's wrap this up. Then you do a 5th one and you're like, okay, this is annoying me. And they did that because it was designed to. It was designed to. And then she comes out on SmackDown and they're saying Lacey Evans demands your respect, your attention, stand and applaud her and everything that she's gone through. And I'm like, that is a total heel move. They completely swerved us. And
the crowd cheered.
But the crowd did cheer a little bit. But again, total.
So we moving her to Raw and starting all these vignettes over. So does that mean we have 4 more weeks of these vignettes?
I don't
and
know.
Then
she showed up on SmackDown.
then we just restart these vignettes, and then we get 4 more weeks of these, and then we get 4 months of Lacey Evans is coming to Raw. She is the new Veer, people. Well, this is what they're doing.
That might be what they're going to be doing with her because, like, okay, there's so much of this that doesn't make sense.
No.
Because she's needed more on SmackDown than she is on Raw. We had 13 women featured on Raw this past Monday. Chef's kiss. That's great. That's awesome. 2 of them are SmackDown superstars. Guess what? You didn't need to have those SmackDown superstars there because you still had Queen Zelina and Carmella who were sitting on the bench last week. So you still could have had 13 women on the show last week. This past Monday, anyway. Moving Lacey over to a stacked Raw roster that is already deep in both faces and heels, regardless of what Lacey's going to be, does not make any sense. And if you don't know what we're talking about, PW Insider confirming that, yes, Lacey is a heel. They did pull that swerve on us, which that made sense to me. I saw that on Friday. I saw that this past Friday on SmackDown. I'm like, they're making her a heel. That's actually kind of brilliant the way that they set that up. They wanted us to hate her. They wanted us to mute her by the time she started doing her 5th promo, which is exactly what I did. That made sense to me. I'm not mad at that. What I'm mad at is the fact that they're now moving her over to Raw, where she's going to get lost in the shuffle, where she could be used on SmackDown. Because you know who needs an opponent? Ronda Rousey needs an opponent. If Charlotte Flair is gone for 2 weeks, 2 months, however long it's going to be, Ronda needs a heel that can step up to her and challenge for the championship. Lacey just cut a promo this past Friday saying she's going to become the SmackDown Women's Champion, and 2 days later, she's being moved to Monday Night Raw internally. Flying by the seat of their pants and doing things that don't make sense. Unless there's a trade in the works to move somebody like Sonya Deville, who technically didn't have a brand. She was just fired on Monday as a WWE official. So I guess she could move over to SmackDown. Unless you're going to pull some kind of a move like that, this makes no damn sense. Because who's going to challenge Ronda Rousey now? Like, what are you going to have her do if Charlotte ain't there? Is it going to be Xia Li? She hasn't been on TV in weeks. Is it going to be who else is a heel on that brand?
Turned her heel suddenly too.
Is it going to be Shotzi? Shotzi, who she just decimated in the Beat the Clock challenge?
Bailey's could be coming back.
Yeah. So
but you don't have Bailey lose her first feud, and and you never know. I mean, you could turn Ronda heel and have Bailey be a babyface in that. But
I almost think that's they would be forced to do that. And SP3 brought this up because so many people are going to be happy that Bailey's back, that Bailey should be brought back as a babyface. So that actually doesn't help. SmackDown's biggest issue is they need a heel that the crowd will hate. This crowd already hates Lacey Evans. And they cheered her last week because guess what? They told her to cheer, and all the casuals are like, "Oh yeah, this is where we clap now." They held up the applause sign. This is where we clap now. That's why she got her out of applause last week. Nobody remembers Lacey Evans from 2 years ago, who was supposedly
pregnant by Ric Flair.
Yeah, who we were alluded to believe that she was banging Ric Flair, and guess what? That Lacey Evans was supposed to win a championship before she got pregnant.
Yeah, and I never really thought that this was heel. It didn't make sense to me that when I saw that report, and I was wondering, maybe they just didn't update the internal report and they just carried over what she was before she left, and she was a heel then. Because to me, I still thought it was babyface. At least I haven't really. I understand what you say, but I still think she was a babyface in this whole thing.
It wasn't until the 5th time. It wasn't until the 5th time where I'm going, they want us to be annoyed at this point. And
I didn't watch SmackDown this week because I was gone Friday and Saturday. By the time I get to Sunday, it's time for Backlash anyway. So I was like, well, I'm not going to get this in. So maybe if I would have watched SmackDown and saw that, I would have had a different story. But I just, to me, you don't tell that type of story and have her be a heel, in my opinion. And that's why they cheered her. So that's why this even makes even less sense that she's a heel going to a different brand. But hey, look, they just turned Xia Li heel for no damn reason either. So
yeah, but okay, so you got Xia Li, who's a heel. You got Shotzi, who's a heel, but neither have been on television long enough for people to remember or really, and I'm talking about the casuals here, care who they are because they haven't been on television. Shayna Baszler and Natalya, both heels, but they're in this tag team title feud, and they're one of only 2 or 3 tag teams that you have right now. So do you split them up? What do you do there? And then, you got Sasha and Naomi. Okay, both baby faces. They're your tag team champions. You have Raquel Rodriguez, who should be a heel, but you brought her up as smiling, sexy Latina, who is a babyface. And then you have Aaliyah. If Bayley doesn't show up on SmackDown, I don't know what the hell they're doing from a depth standpoint. I don't know what they have against building their depth on SmackDown, because Raw's getting all the big fish.
Unless
all the big, and I'm not even saying like Lacey's that big of a fish, but she adds depth. She's a logical next opponent for Ronda Rousey, because there's no way Ronda's losing to her next first opponent anyway.
No.
So bringing in Bayley is kind of counterproductive at this point to challenge Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, unless Ronda's disappearing for some time too, and we just don't know about it. I don't know. It just seems like poor planning.
Gee, you think? This is totally head scratching. I don't know why you would This is like a team who is, okay, let's say the Reds, right? Like SmackDown's the Reds. Okay, they're like 6-23. They ain't going anywhere. Oh, here's Luis Castillo. What do you want for him, Raw? You're a championship contender, right? Let's go ahead and we'll just give you that, and you can give us some prospects maybe or whatever. That's what this feels like. This feels like a brand that's not ready to compete, that's selling off pieces to a team that's like trying to win a playoffs. That's how I'm like the analogy I could come up with here, because they just added a 14th person to a Raw roster, and it's like, where is Lacey going to go? Like, her booking or the depth on Raw is so deep. She's lost. This is a bad move for Lacey. She should be screaming to be put back on Fox, which, by the way, has the biggest audience. This is a bad move for Lacey.
Yep.
I don't get it. One of the things that I'm excited about, or at least I was until I kind of saw the presentation last night, and this is something we talked about last week. We were both on board with putting Piper Niven and Nikki Cross together as a tag team, mostly because the tag team division needs tag teams, and they weren't doing anything with either one of these ladies. So this was fine. Excited about this. These two have history with one another. They know one another. They've trained with each other in the past. They've wrestled each other in other promotions. This makes a ton of sense on paper, putting these two together, especially if you lean into the history that they have with one another. Instead, here's what we got on Monday. What we got on Monday was they're immediately put into a match with the tag team champions because, of course, they had no TV entrances whatsoever. They were given the Dick from Dayton local legend introduction. Nikki, of course, lost the match because she got overzealous and was booked as the weak link. And I'm going, okay, I've seen this song and dance before. I've seen this with the last couple of Nikki A.S.H. tag teams. Like, ever since Nikki, hell, even before when she won the Raw Women's Championship, she has not been booked strong. She has constantly either been put down by commentary or booked to be the weak link in tag teams, and she is constantly losing. And I'm sitting here and I'm going, is this more of the same? Or is there actually a story that is being built here where Doudrop is trying to get Nikki back up to a respectable level? Because even afterwards, she's like berating her in the ring going, you need to get serious. So is this kind of the avenue to get Nikki out of the superhero costume and into something else, and for these two to actually be a serious tag team? Or is this just more of the same? And the only thing that I can think of is this might be more of the same, because how do you build up a new tag team when you don't have other tag teams for them to wrestle?
I think it is part of the plan. I think this is part of the plan, and basically Doudrop's going to force Nikki to ditch the superhero gimmick, and then they are reintroduced. So it's perfectly fine that they didn't get an entrance or whatnot on Monday because
short on time. They were running short on time anyway.
That, and we're going to get rid of the superhero gimmick eventually. So once we have these people as a true tag team, then that's when we'll focus on this. And they will probably be, they'll probably, I bet you, don't be surprised. By the time we get towards Hell in a Cell, they'll probably be the top contender for Sasha and Naomi, whether it be at SummerSlam or Hell in a Cell. It may be too soon for some Hell in a Cell. They may leave the women. They'll probably leave the women's tag team title match. That titles probably won't even be defended at Hell in a Cell. They'll probably build this for SummerSlam. It's a bigger show anyways. And by then they will be a cohesive team and be considered a legitimate threat. Right now, this is all just story to get Nikki out of that gimmick.
Probably right. But then again, you come up with, and this is why I'm going to answer the question here, right? Is there a story being told with Piper and Nikki, or should we be concerned? And my answer is a little bit of both. Because to build up a tag team, you have to have people for them to beat, and they don't have anybody for them to beat. Are Queen Zelina and Carmella still a tag team? I don't know. We haven't seen them for 2 weeks ever since they got the shit slapped out of them by Sonya Deville.
Yeah,
and they had broken up like 2 or 3 weeks before that, and now like they were kind of hired guns. Who knows what the hell is going on there? You got 14 women on the roster. You could form some more tag teams, but you just formed this one. It didn't help that they were already in their first match as a tag team thrust up against the champions. You knew that they were going to lose. You knew that Nikki was going to be the one that took the pinfall there. So how do they build themselves back up? I think I have a solution, by the way. They go to NXT. They go down to NXT and they beat the Cadens and the Katanas of the world, right? They beat some of these younger tag teams. Put them on NXT to get some tune-up matches. Have that be part of the story where Piper kind of like gets Nikki back to her roots and gets some tune-up matches, right? Fight some inferior talent. Maybe even bring up some of these NXT people up to Raw for a cup of coffee like they did with Braun Breaker, right? Like give them a cup of coffee on the main roster and give these ladies some wins, or at least give them some wins over some local talent. Something. What I don't want to see is them, we're going to lose to the tag team champions over and over and over again for 3 weeks until finally they coerce Adam Pearce into giving him a tag team title shot and then they randomly win. Like, that's how I see it going, where they actually could build something special here by putting in a little bit of work. Now, they have focused on the women's division a lot lately, so maybe they are willing to put in the work, but I think that's the solution to the problem, is either send them to NXT, bring some NXT teams up, but you got to start giving this team some wins sooner rather than later, and they can't keep wrestling. This is the problem with having 3 teams in a division. Because what happens when when Natalya and Shayna, because they are, what happens when they lose on Friday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it made sense to have them go against the tag champions and have them lose to continue the story that Nikki has to ditch her gimmick and change something, which is
that's what they're going for. But
yeah. So to me, it makes a lot of sense, and it eventually will get there.
Hopefully. I did bring up Natalya. Maybe her run in NXT is over now. I think that was kind of a conclusion of what we got on last night's episode of NXT, but she did go over. She did beat Cora Jade in the main event in a show that heavily featured the women's division, including the Futures tournament, which we'll get to here in a moment. But a little surprising here, at least to me, in the fact that Natalya went over in this match. Now, Cora did not tap out. She passed out, even though I think there was a little bit of a slip up, because at the same time that Cora was asking the referee, and you could kind of see it, whether it was time to go home, Natalya kind of slips and falls over, and then Cora just, I'm out. So, like, the ending was a little bit botched, right? Like, a little bit of inexperience there. So, whatever. But the story is that Cora didn't tap out, but they still put Natalya over. At the end of the day, this was Cora's best, I think, match overall since coming into NXT, and I think this was her best response by a long shot from the fans. They wanted her to win that match last night. Jeremy, number 4 here on the 5 count. Should she have won the match last night? Because I think she's been getting a lot of big losses. I felt like this is a match she needed to win last night. Instead, they give it to Natalya.
Well, there are 2 things here. I was expecting Natalya to win this one for 2 things. One, after the end of the match, I think there's going to be a rematch. For 2, I think there's still going to be a Natalya and Nikita Lyons match somewhere down the line.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't know when the semifinals are going to be. I would assume not next week, because you still have the other half of the bracket to go. They're probably going to do the other half of the bracket. So you could do Natalya and Nikita next week. You could rematch. And this also sets up for a rematch, because Cora never tapped out. So you've got 2 different ways you can go here. So I don't think Natalya's time is done in NXT yet. And I think it was the right call, just because I think the main goal was to have Nikita defeat Natalya eventually.
Yeah. I kind of forgot that they had that whole thing, because they did have the tag match, right? So I don't know. Last night, especially with Natalya kind of like picking Cora up and hugging her and doing the whole proud mom thing, is like, hey, I was just testing you. Forget the fact that I beat your ass like 4 weeks ago out of the blue just to set up this match. I was really just testing you. So the hug thing was kind of just like very big show of Natalya to be wishy-washy. Oh, I'm a heel, but I do care about you because you're so young and the potential is there. But I just feel like, and in the end, Cora won anyway. Because again, it was a great performance. She got over with the audience. Like in the end, she won. I just kind of felt like she's had a lot of big matches. She hasn't been able to get that big win yet. And I kind of feel the same way about Roxanne Perez here, even though she's only been wrestling with the company for like 3 weeks at this point. Have her losing a lot. And it's like, eventually these girls, and I get it, the future's not right now. That's why they're the future of the women's division. Eventually they got to pick up some wins. I was kind of expecting Cora to get that win last night. They didn't, but I can't hate on it. What I would have done, because I knew she was in the building because she posted it on social media, unless it was an old photo. Apparently Sasha Banks was in Florida last night. You got this tag team title match that's coming up on Friday. Could you not have had Sasha show up for some kind of an angle, maybe to help Cora win this matchup? I don't know. I think that would have been something. Might have been something to help you boost some ratings as well if you got Sasha in the building. Again, I can't guarantee she was there. Again, that could have been an old photo that she put out on social media. But if Sasha was there and you didn't use her, that seems like a weird move to me.
She could just be down the PC though too.
That's 100%. We did bring up Nikita Lyons as well, as the bracket was unveiled and the first 2 matches did happen last night. Let me get rid of that banner there for those who are watching on the YouTube channel. The women's breakout tournament is on. Nikita Lyons and Fallon Henley already moving on. And then we have 2 other quarterfinals matchups. Roxanne Perez is going to take on Kiana James, and then Lash Legend is going to take on Tatum Paxley. But Jeremy, I mean, I don't know what the point of putting on this tournament is, because when you put Nikita Lyons in there, she's got to be the odds-on heavy favorite to win this whole damn thing. So it's like, why are we doing this?
Because she's not going to win it.
You don't think she's going to win it? Who's knocking her off?
They're going to pull an old Dusty Cup trick and have a team that has not been winning go all the way through, and Roxanne Perez is going to beat Nikita Lyons in the finals.
I don't even think Roxanne's getting to the finals, to be completely honest with you. This, to me, and I saw a lot of people saying that, I know you said it as well, Roxanne Perez going all the way to the finals. I don't see that just based off of her booking thus far. The story is Lash and Nikita. That's the story that they have told.
They've already had 2 matches though.
They have, but there's still some beef there, right? So it's like that's the feud that has been going on for the last few weeks. I don't think you put those 2 on the opposite side of the bracket without them meeting in the finals.
I think Tatum beats Lash, to be honest with you. There's always an upset in the tournament. I think Tatum's going to beat Lash and finally get Ivy Now's acceptance and join Diamond Mine.
Maybe, possibly.
Yeah,
you could be right. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Roxanne's going to win the whole thing. I think Tatum's going to beat Lash and then have a good match with Roxanne. I think Fallon and Nikita are going to have a hell of a match too. Fallon's really improved, and it continuously improves from week to week. I thought she looked real good tonight. Had some good moves in that match against Sloan. But yeah, I think it's obvious that it's Roxanne and Nikita, and I think Roxanne's going to come out on top, and then your one upset's going to be Tatum coming out of nowhere.
I would be stunned if Nikita Lyons doesn't win this whole damn thing, because she has been booked as like the top.
She doesn't need to, though. She doesn't need to.
Here's the thing. She's already broken out.
Yeah, right.
She didn't need to be in the bracket in the first place. So like when you put her in there, I'm like, what? She's been on TV for 4 months. What are we doing? Like, everybody knows who she is now. She's an internet sensation for all the wrong reasons, but she's an internet sensation.
Horny Instagram.
My goodness.
Coming through.
Because I wanted to see, by the way, a good run for Ariana Grace. And the second she gets matched up with Nikita Lyons, I'm like, well, that ain't happening. By the way, if you don't know, Ariana Grace is the daughter of Santino Marella, and she should be booked as the daughter of Santino Marella. It drives me nuts when you have that card that could help somebody get over with the audience, and they blatantly ignore it, a la like what they've done with Braun Breaker, until recently anyway, when they brought his dad onto television.
Vic brought up the Ivy Nile thing tonight, and that's what made me think there's an upset there with Ivy Nile, or with Tatum Paxley winning against Lash Legend. So I honestly think that's going to happen.
We shall see. Got an exciting NXT that they've got next week, especially with the buildup that they've been doing between Santos Escobar
How you doing?
and Tony D'Angelo. We got this.
Hey, forget about it.
We got gang wars at its finest going on in NXT right now. It's going to lead to
don't go out in the parking lot.
Never go into the parking lot outside of NXT.
Alone.
What are you doing? That is a dangerous place.
Del Toro, I forget your new first name, but hey, Del Toro, man,
Cruz?
come on.
Cruz?
I don't know, but
Cruz. Who knows?
Why are you going by yourself, man? Why are you going by yourself?
I can't keep all these names together. Never go by yourself, especially when you know you got coming at you.
I thought that segment with over the phone, I liked it a lot. I thought they did a good job with the phone segment. I enjoyed that tonight.
I thought there was a lot to like tonight.
Yeah,
honestly, another thing to bring up here real quick. I liked the Alba Fire match. I think
her entrance is badass.
The name still sucks, but what they're doing to try and incorporate the name, I can respect, and I can kind of get on board with it. It's a lot better than what the hell they had Casey Catanzaro, whatever the promo was that she tried to cut. You can tell, right? You can tell who they clearly are invested in here. They ain't invested in Katana Chance. They're invested in Alba Fire. They know what they have in Kaylee Ray, so they're really trying to get this name over. We barely see, Katana on television. Honestly, I don't know why they don't just put her and Caden on the main roster and bolster the damn tag team division.
I don't know why they don't. I don't know why they haven't held the titles yet. I mean, they've been the longest standing tag team.
They're good.
Probably.
They're good. I don't know. I don't get it, man. There's a lot I don't get. There's a lot I don't understand. I try to make sense of the senseless.
Chase U's starting to win me over a little bit more each day. I didn't like it at first, but every week, keep winning it over. And I thought Bodie as the cheerleader was hilarious when they were celebrating the win and he's twirling his hair. And Tiffany Stratton, that crossbody over the top rope was pretty nice too. There,
she's pretty impressive.
Take out Bodie.
Hate's not strong enough. I loathe her character.
Oh yeah, and that's what makes it perfect.
Supposed to, right?
That's what makes it perfect to pair her with Grayson Waller. Those two were great together, in my opinion.
Here's the thing: I'm in the minority. I love Grayson Waller.
Oh, I do too. I've said it on many shows that I'm on ever since the beginning. That I've been impressed with him ever since he turned heel. He couldn't draw for shit as a babyface, but ever since he turned heel and started that program with AJ, and I thought he performed well with AJ, not only in the ring, but on promos and things. And ever since then, and the LA Knight feud was great too.
Yeah. Look, he can perform. It's just whether or not the subject matter that they give him.
Yeah. The whole,
you could say that with a lot of people in WWE.
The whole muscle, that looks like Braun Strowman. That was dumb. I don't know why they gave him that. He didn't need it. Pairing him with Tiffany, though, that is a great pair. I hope they keep going.
Jeremy, it's NXT 2.0. What they do is they take a bunch of shit,
Yep.
They roll it up into a ball, they throw it against the wall, and they see what sticks. This is going to be constant changes. It's going to be fluctuation over and over and over again because it truly is a developmental brand. So you're going to be seeing stuff like this all the time. Just strap in and enjoy the ride that is NXT 2.0.
Ivy Nile making all those men look like bitches tonight.
I would have been out after about 33 push-ups.
I would have been out at about 1. And old Stevenson's brother joining Diamond Mine tonight.
That's another thing that, man.
What's his name? I don't know. I forget already.
Drake? Was it Drake? Dante? Something Dante?
Dude Man, that's his name.
Dude bro. Hang on. Damon Kemp.
There you go.
Damon Kemp. Here's the thing. This is
Just
another
like
thing.
just like Solo, they're pretending he's not a brother of a guy.
Braun
on the roster.
Breaker, Solo Sikoa, Ariana Grace, and now I already forgot his damn name. Damon Kemp. When you have already drafted Gable Steveson to Monday Night Raw, you have his actual brother who you have decided to strip of his identity and put him on NXT.
When they said the University of Minnesota, I thought Shelton Benjamin was going to join the Diamond Mine for a minute. Because we didn't see him with Cedric. And I'm like, well, we haven't seen him. Maybe they bring in a vet. Maybe, you know, it would kind of make sense, actually. But
might not have been a bad idea.
No.
All right, we're way over. We appreciate everybody who's been listening to all 55 minutes of this half-hour podcast. SP3 and myself will be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. to recap what is surely going to be a fantastic AEW Dynamite tonight. Enjoy
Danhausen's debut.
Very nice.
Very nice, very evil.
Love that Danhausen. Love that Bleav in Pro Wrestling. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe. Get your chance to win tickets to Money in the Bank. Join myself and SP3 tomorrow, 7 a.m. here on the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast, brought to you by Bet Online.